Hey folks, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that I have a real fondness for weird game glitches, and in particular, the characters that have spawned from palette glitches in Sonic games. Over the past couple of years, I've proudly brought you the story of Ashura and Wechnia, the two most famous glitch characters from the Sonic the Hedgehog series that have taken on a life of their own within the Sonic fan community. They both have fascinating origins and an air of mystery around them. But it feels like there's one more guy that I need to talk about. It's time to finish off this series. It's time for the third in the trilogy. It's time to talk about Bluckles. But that's not all. After that, I think it's time for a roundup. This isn't just Bluckles, this is Bluckles and friends. We're covering a whole bunch of glitches today. This isn't designed to be a comprehensive video. This is just a quick run through of some of the glitches that I think are the funniest, coolest, or ones that I enjoy performing. I'm sure I've missed plenty, so if you know of any that you think are interesting, or maybe ones that aren't that widely known, let me know in the comments. You never know, they might feature in a mythical fourth installment in the series. Now, without further ado, let's go. So, let's start with the main event, Bluckles. The name is a bit of a giveaway, but Bluckles is the moniker given to the blue Knuckles glitch that's possible in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. My personal favourite game of all time, and one that thankfully I love revisiting endlessly. The fun thing about Bluckles is that he's technically playable in every level in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That's pretty cool because Ashura, after all, was only playable in Emerald Hill Zone. Now, in order to pull off the glitch, you'll need to enable debug mode first. I'm not going to go into minuscule detail about how to do that. Instead, here is a super speedy guide on how to get set up. Now, with debug mode activated, the most common method you'll find for unlocking blue Knuckles is the following. This is what you'll probably see if you Google or YouTube the glitch. So, go to Hidden Palace Zone via the stage select screen, holding down A, B and C when you select your level. Make sure you're playing on a cartridge or save state with Chaos Emeralds, but not Super Emeralds unlocked. Or at least, that's what I've read online. In Hidden Palace, what you'll want to do is zoom over to the Emerald Chamber portion of the zone, jump on one of the emeralds, and enter the special stage. When you exit this stage, you'll be in a weird flooded version of Angel Island Zone. Slowly move down with the water, and you'll reach a point where the game hard resets. This is meant to unlock Bluckles, but I just couldn't get it working. I tried about half a dozen times, and my game either never reset or reset with no access to Bluckles. Now, I'm not playing on actual hardware, but still, I got no Bluckles. Thankfully, I found a lesser known method that worked 100% of the times that I tried it. Thank you to EthanSophia44 on YouTube, who uploaded this cheeky tutorial that I'm about to paraphrase. So in debug mode, go to Carnival Night Zone, Act 2. Keep moving right until you reach the end of the screen and go off screen. Now you'll want to nudge yourself down a little bit so your screen looks roughly like this, and then keep moving right until you loop through the zone a second time. You'll know that you're about to pop back on screen because the left hand side of the screen is going to go very weird. When you're back, float up a little bit, move right, and exit debug mode. You should land safely on a rather odd looking floor. Then reset the game and you should be good to go. The save select screen will look a little freaky here, but fear not, you've entered the Matrix and this is Bluckles' bat signal. Jump into a no save game and voila, you're playing as Bluckles. Bluckles plays like Knuckles. He can climb, glide and break through obstacles, but he follows Sonic's path through zones, so some levels are unfortunately impossible to complete, including Angel Island Zone Act 1. Still, You can use a level select screen to jump into any level you want with Bluckles, so effectively the whole game is your oyster. Bluckles is a real oddity. Notice that he also has Sonic's little nameplate in the bottom left of the screen, and when you complete a level, Tails gets a name drop. It's like he's an amalgamation of all three characters, a true glitch. The funny thing about Bluckles is that you don't really need to do all of that busy work to catch a glimpse of the guy. The signpost at the end of each zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has a blue Knuckles on one side. Look, there he is, hiding in plain sight. The unfortunate thing is, there isn't much lore about Bluckles out there. That shrouds him in a certain degree of mystery, I agree, but my Googling skills really failed me in terms of finding the genesis of Bluckles. If you try to search Google for some of the earliest results for Blue Knuckles and ignore all the weird medical stuff, the only results will be a few YouTube videos from 2006. As weird as it is to view YouTube videos from 18 years ago, these videos make it clear that Blue Knuckles was well known in the Sonic community way before 2006. As for Bluckles, if you use Google to search for early results of that, they only start popping into existence in the 2010s after the release of the very old but very popular Blonic animations. I guess that's where the Bluckles nickname came from. So, there isn't one person or one community that I can name as the pioneer who discovered Blue Knuckles. Sorry guys. Although not as notorious, nor as storied as Ashura or Wechnia, Bluckles is often bundled alongside those two legends in fans' hearts. You'll find plenty of fan art of the dude online, and mods that add him into Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, Sonic Mania, Sonic Rover Blast 2, Sonic Adventure 2, and probably many, many, many more. Weirdly enough, there are at least 2 instances of a version of Blue Knuckles popping up in official Sega media. In the 2015 Sonic Boom episode, Eggman the Auteur, Eggman is making a movie about his life, and Knuckles plays the part of Sonic, complete with shoddy blue paint job. You know, I've never watched Sonic Boom before because, well, you know, the games were notoriously terrible. But I'm getting serious Donkey Kong Country vibes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sonic Boom did get a little bit meta and self-referential at times, but if I'm being honest, I doubt this is a reference to the Blue Knuckles glitch. Looping back to Ashura and Wechnia, we can visit the world of the IDW Sonic comic. IDW writer extraordinaire Ian Flynn has stated that his villainous trio of characters, Dr. Starline, Surge, and Kitsunami the Fennec, are all inspired by glitch characters. I've discussed Surge and Starline in more detail before, but Kitsunami is a cybernetically enhanced Fennec, which is one of these things, designed by Dr. Starline to be a sidekick for Surge and a replacement for Tails. Despite his fairly laid-back looking design, he's a bad guy who's had his memory wiped, and he has the ability to manipulate water, equipped with a Hydro Pack, which allows for various water-based attacks and powers. Kitsunami is a well-designed and much-loved character. He's a fan favourite and deserves to be talked about in a lot more length at a later date. Now, Dr. Starline is definitely inspired by Wechnia, and there's no doubt that Surge is inspired by Ashura. But what about Kitsunami? Apparently, he's inspired by a Tails glitch in Sonic 3 that Ian Flynn personally remembers. That little snippet has led fans to assume that Kitsunami is inspired by the Bluckles glitch. Maybe, but maybe not. Others think that Kitsunami may instead be inspired by a different palette glitch, and with that in mind, I think it's time we move on from Bluckles and round out the glitch series. Let's finish our Pokédex, if you will, by quickly running through all of my other favourite palette glitches from the classic Sonic games, starting with, in my opinion, the more likely inspiration behind Kitsunami. Maybe this is what Ian Flynn remembers seeing. This is a little known glitch christened Cyborg Tails. Now, to do this, you'll need to play the vanilla version of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and once again enable debug mode. In Sonic 3, this is how you do that. Phew. Okay, so if you go to Launch Base Zone Act 2 as Tails, and then defeat the final boss, Tails will spring up in the air in a victorious end screen pose. Toggling in and out of debug mode quickly will make this weird, charming version of Tails briefly appear on the end screen. The character sprite here is meant to be loaded out of the victory scene, so popping the character back in gives them a rather heinous colour scheme. I can definitely see the argument that Tails' grey turquoise colours here do look a lot like Kitsuname. Of course, this glitch is also possible with Sonic, but where did the Cyborg nickname come from? Well, apparently the guy who first discovered the glitch, or at least first reported it way back in 2003, is a Redditor called Wibington, who chronicles on Reddit that they found on the Wayback Machine discussions dating to 2003 identifying and naming Cyborg Sonic. Unfortunately, no link was provided, but I've never known a Redditor to tell a lie, so I think this story sounds completely legit. The glitch has gained some notoriety in recent years for its passing resemblance to a certain other version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, jumping back to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, we can have a bit of fun with that game's end screen as well. How about a rare, mythical sighting of Red Sonic? To see Red Sonic, you'll once again need to be in debug mode and playing a game cart that doesn't have any Super Emeralds unlocked. Or at least, that's what I've been advised by my Council of Glitch Gremlins. Head to Sky Sanctuary Act 2 as Sonic. This stage is usually a Knuckles only stage where you take on Super Mecha Sonic. Beat the final boss, and the end cutscene will boot up. You'll see our buddy Bluckles again, and after Bluckles is gone, you'll want to wait until the floating island is falling and then re-enter debug mode. If you make yourself a little platform with some item boxes and exit debug mode, you'll be treated to bright blue Sonic. And then if you open up one of the super boxes that you can spawn, Sonic will transform into Red Sonic. Unfortunately, he's not playable outside of this one little moment, but still pretty cool to see. Just to confirm, this guy isn't YouTuber Red Hot Sonic, because they're rocking different shoes, and this glitchy Sonic has a blue tongue. The funny thing about Red Sonic is that it's really cool that he actually exists. You see, Red Sonic was also the source of one of the more fun hoaxes in Sonic history. In 2012, a user posted scans of a Portuguese gaming magazine to the Sonic Stadium forums, claiming that the magazine contained some never-before-seen screenshots of a beta build in Sonic 3 in which Knuckles wasn't completely developed and was instead represented by a red Sonic. Throughout the summer, the original poster kept up with the lies. You see, at that point in time, no known beta build of Sonic 3 had leaked to the public, so the hoax was a rousing success because the magazine scans actually did look kinda legit. Eventually, Sonic Stadium users were put out of their misery and the hoaxer came clean. But the truth is, Red Sonic is real. Some end screen shenanigans can also be done with Knuckles, rendering him that same blistering, blinding blue, which reminds me of a very, very old fan game from probably over 20 years ago about Ice the Echidna. Next up, we can showcase a totally new game. Let's boot up Sonic CD. We're gonna glitch the heck out of Amy Rose. Now, you know what I'm about to say. We need debug mode to do this. So in Sonic CD, here's how you sort out debug mode. Now, let's go see Blue Amy first. Boot up Palm Tree Panic Act 1. One important note here is do not enter debug mode yet. First you'll want to reach the end of the level and bump into regular old Amy Rose. Amy hugs Sonic and stays in a designated zone. Having met Amy, you can now spawn your own Amy's. Trying to do this before meeting Amy makes your Amy object all weird and blocky, so show some restraint. Anyway, after you've spawned some ladies outside of Amy's usual patrol zone, head to the left. They'll all follow you and suddenly they'll turn blue. You see, there's a very specific point in the level where they turn blue, and they can turn pink again if you head to the right far enough. If you ask me, blue Amy looks kinda cool. Actually suits her even in modern form. Now, Amy also appears in Stardust Speedway Act 3, held hostage at the end of the zone, and rescuable after the race against Metal Sonic. In Stardust Speedway, you can enter debug mode, zip right over to Amy, zip all the way to the left of the screen to the start of the level, and then return to Amy again. What do you reckon? Are we gonna see Blue Amy again? Not quite. She'll adopt a very weird, alien-looking, garish pink and green colour scheme. Not looking great, Amy. The sad news is that recent versions of all of these games often remove these kooky little glitches, so you'll need to return to the originals if you want to pull these glitches off. In case you were wondering if stuff like this is possible in Sonic Origins, no, sorry, I do get it. Technically these are glitches, and the new devs have cleaned up the games a little bit, but I do miss them. Now, if we fast forward a bit, we can visit Sonic Mania. Mania paid tribute to the classic Sonic titles in more ways than one, and in classic Sonic tradition, it also created ways for us to create new glitch characters too. Now, I promise, this is the final time I'll say this, but you'll need to be in debug mode to do some of the following bits. Thankfully, that's easier to enable in Sonic Mania. Once you've unlocked a few things, it becomes a menu option when you're choosing which game to play, thank goodness. So, in debug mode, if you place 2 super monitors and then 1 character swapper monitor, which cycles through all of the playable characters, and spin dash through the trio, you'll transform into a dark version of whatever character the character swapper monitor was cycling through at the time that you broke through it. You can do this with Knuckles, Tails, Mighty, and Ray, and they all look pretty cool, like a Shadow the Hedgehog version of those particular characters. A lot of tutorials for this on YouTube suggest that you need to place 1 of every monitor and smash through them all, but I found that the 3 monitor method worked perfectly fine. Apparently, following this method can also sometimes transform you into a hot pink Tails, if the character swapper monitor lands on Tails when you're trying to do it. I tried to replicate this literally dozens of times, but simply couldn't get it working, unfortunately. There is a lot of pink Tails footage out there, so I can share what he looks like from other YouTubers, but trying the 3 monitor method or the every monitor method just didn't work for me. Ultimately, I feel like the old 2D games were the most fun to glitch. The 3D games are notoriously glitchy, though still a lot of fun in my opinion. And a lot of those glitches are more centered around little gameplay quirks rather than palette or texture issues. I do have a couple of favourite little texture glitches that you can pull off in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 though, that I'll really quickly run through. First, I remember seeing this tutorial by Video Game Clip Collect explaining how to create a weird vaporwave version of Sonic Adventure, but doing this runs the risk of permanently damaging your Dreamcast, so yeah. Basically, if you boot up a level, take out the game disc and put in another one, making sure you somehow trick the disc lid sensor into thinking that the Dreamcast is still closed, and then unpause, you can play through the level, but it looks all rainbowy. I guess the stage itself is loaded into memory, but the textures are loaded on the fly, hence you get a really out-of-this-world look. Then there is perhaps the most famous 3D Sonic texture issue, this one, as showcased in the Some Call Me Johnny review of Sonic Adventure. Apparently completing Sonic Adventure in one sitting on the Dreamcast without a memory card inserted completely freaks Big's textures out towards the end of the game. I have heard others dispute the method for creating this texture glitch, so if you know the definitive answer for how to do this one, please let me know. As for Sonic Adventure 2, well, have you ever heard of the action replay? The short explanation of the action replay is that it's a disc containing hundreds or thousands of preloaded cheat codes, along with a card that you put in your memory card slot. It's kind of like a disc version of the Game Genie in a sense, and you can use it with a whole bunch of GameCube games, including Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, to create some very weird looking texture issues. You can apply Amy's textures to Sonic, Chaos and Tikal's textures to Knuckles, and all manner of other things. If I'm being honest, I don't find the texture glitches as charming as the palette glitches, but this particular shadow is damn cool. Ultimately, if you do some Googling, you'll find that there are all manner of weird texture glitches possible in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. But the thing is, some of these glitches do occur because of physical damage, either to a console, or a game cartridge, or a game disc. And as a result, they aren't really easily reproducible, or they only happen once in a blue moon. I think for a lot of these images, that's what's happened here. And maybe that's why they don't fascinate me as much. But with all of that said, I think I'm done. I reiterate that if I've missed any, or there's one that you think you've just discovered, let me know in the comments. I just have a fondness for messing about with the games that I love, and playing them in a different way is just utterly enthralling to me. And the passion that the community has in terms of bringing what are essentially palette glitches to life with their own lore, mythos and personality is just brilliant. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.